Hello, Assalamualaikum, and greeting to all viewer, and not forgetting to our beloved lecturer, Encik Petrus Banati. So today our group will present about presentation 1, DJJ52012, Engineering Plant Technology. So our group member is consist by 4 people: Muhammad NIZAM bin AMRAN, 07 DKM 19F 2011, Foong Leung, 07 DKM 19F 2007, RAFIQ bin ISHOM, 07 DKM 19F 2023, and also myself, Muhammad bin ASNAIN, 07 DKM 19F 2033. So our group chose question 4 for our presentation 1. As you can see, these are the questions we will present. Before we go through, I will start with an introduction about a boiler. A boiler is a closed vessel in which fluid, generally water, is heated up to high pressure steam. The boiler are used in power plant for the generation of steam, and they are mostly used in power plant where steam turbines are used for the generation of electricity. For the next slide, we begin with differentiate the fire tube boiler and water tube boiler. In this case, the main difference between fire tube boiler and water tube boiler is that in the fire tube boiler, hot flue gas pass through the tube and water is surround them, while in the water tube boiler, the water pass through the tube and hot flue gas is surround them. Next slide is differentiate the fire tube boiler. So there are different type of fire tube boiler. Likewise, external furnace and internal furnace fire tube boiler. External furnace boiler can be again categorized into 3 different types. First is horizontal return tubular boiler. Second, short firebox boiler, and 3 is compact boiler. Again, the internal furnace fire tube boiler has also 2 main categories, such as horizontal tubular and vertical tubular fire tube boiler. Normally, horizontal return fire tube boiler is used in thermal power plant of low capacity. It consists of a horizontal drum into which there are a number of horizontal tubes. These tubes are submerged in water. The fuel, normally coal, burn below horizontal drum, and the combustible gas move to the rear from where they enter into fire tube and travel towards the front into the smoke box. During travel of gas in tube, they transfer the heat into the water and steam bubble come up. As steam is produced, the pressure of the boiler develop in that closed vessel.
Hello and good morning to Sir Petrus. My name is Choon. On this slide, I'm going to explain about the advantages and the disadvantages of the fire tube boiler. Okay, next, let's get started with the advantages of a fire tube boiler. The water is supplied in shell and outside of the tubes, while hot gas is supplied inside tubes, so the water volume cannot be shaken easily when the fire tube is running. Fire tube boiler is so easy to use and operate, clean and maintain. The third advantages is the fire tube boiler can be used in a small scale industries. And lastly, fire tube boiler is relatively more cheaper than the water tube boiler. The next slide is about the advantages of the fire tube boiler. Firstly, from the furnace combustion side, it requires time to fill the water, which is longer than to increase temperature and pressure. Second is the efficiency of heat transfer, or heat transfer efficiency is bad enough because of the heat exchanger does not use thermal radiation. The third disadvantages is in case of a bomber's fire tube boiler would be very dangerous if a large amount of hot water and steam have been accumulated or leakage occur. The last disadvantages is the fire tube boiler cannot be produce steam at a pressure higher than 250 pounds per square inches. Inch 5 capacity of generated steam is limited.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad NIZAM bin AMRAN. My matrix number is 07 DKM 2011, and I want to describe the structure and construction of various type of boiler. Okay, the boiler is divided into 2 main types. Number 1 is fire tube, water outside tube, and fire or hot gases inside tube. And the number 2 is water tube, the water inside tube and fire or hot gases outside tube. Okay. Go to fire tube. The construction of a water tube boiler can be equipped with cylindrical shell, vertical firebox in the base, space for water in the center segment and space for steam in the higher segment. A fire grate is located at the firebox base as well as coal is fired up on the firebox. For burnt coal, an ash pit is placed at the base of the grate for gathering the ash from the burnt coal, and sometimes it can be detected. One or many cross tubes are flanked to the space of water that is placed within the box to raise the outside area of heating of improving the water flow. A small chimney is associated with the pinnacle of the firebox for releasing the waste outlet at some larger height. The cleaning of the boiler can be done by the hand holes as well as manhole of the tube and shell of the boiler. This boiler includes a water leveling indicator, a pressure gauge, steam stop tap, security tap, and a manhole-like mounting for providing security as well as simplicity of working. The fuel burn on the grate of the firebox in the boiler and the resultant hot flow gases permit to flow in the region of cross tubes. The water maybe the cylindrical type firebox also get heat through radiation as well as convection. Therefore, steam will be generated. The flow of water in the boiler will be based on the difference of density within water that is formed with the difference to temperature. And the second is a water tube. This type of boiler include two drum, namely steam, lower or mud drum. These two drums are associated via two tubes such as downcomer and riser. At first, the water is supplied into the steam type drum with the help of a water pump. Whenever the fuel is burned, then hot gases will be generated that are permitted to supply in the shell part of the boiler. The hot gases which are produced by the fuel will replace heat by the water. The water get changed into steam. Because the water temperature increase, the concentration will increase automatically. Clearly, the concentration of steam will be lesser than the water. Thus, in the steam drum, the water as well as steam gets divided, obviously due to variation in concentration. Here, the traveling of steam will be upward because of low concentration as well as water will travel downward because of high concentration. The flow of hot water at the base of the steam drum will be supplied into mud drum via downcomer tube as well as to heat the water in the mud type drum. Whenever cooler supply water is initiated into steam type drum due to the high concentration of cool water, and it moves down in the downcomer type tube near mud drum. When transferring hot water from the mud drum to steam type drum using riser tubes, then it consequences in normal water circulation in the water tube type boiler. As additional steam is generated in the boiler, then the force in the drum enhanced and the water supply into the drum reduced, which tend for decreasing the flow of steam. In the same way, when the production rate of steam reduced, the force in the water tube boiler reduced and the water supply into the boiler enhanced, which tends to enhance the production rate. Like this, the water tube boiler controls the production of steam.
Demonstrate the method to assemble boiler tube. Preparation of material. If you decide to buy a boiler, how to install such equipment you need to know in advance. Of course, self-employment performance is cheaper. If you give up professional services, it is necessary to prepare certain material for the installation of the set. Next is preparation tools. So you need a boiler. How to install such equipment you need to know before the date is taken. However, it is worth bearing in mind that in some cases, carrying out independent work will be a guarantee of this illegal manufacturer. In addition to materials, it is necessary to prepare certain instruments. Installation instruction. The process should begin with choosing a place for installation, for example, in the bathroom or toilet. Often, the equipment is installed above the toilet, where it will not disturb anyone. You need to check the strength of the wall, because he will have to withstand the load of the boiler. If the room is not enhanced past the partition, then the installation of the units should refrain. When the boiler volume is 50 liters and more will go to the wall at the double load, which is 100 kg. Before installing the boiler in the apartment, it is necessary to determine the location of the lower eye equipment. Nothing on the wall surface. Next, the master measures the distance from the attachment point to the lower rope. First, firmly welded to the chassis equipment, the acceptable distance should be not on the wall. In the next step, you need to drill 2 holes. Masters emphasize that it must be remembered that the bridle of the opening is not the anchor with a hook at the end, should cling at the edge. And the last one is professional advice. Basically, self-installing boiler is easy. We just need to equip themselves with knowledge of other than instrument and materials. Thank you.